like, comment, and subscribe.
There are three main lanes in League of Legends: top lane, mid lane, and lowest lane, because the bottom lane seems to always be in so much distress. Between the bot lane parties that put influencer parties during a pandemic to shame, as well as whining so much you'd think it was a speakeasy during Prohibition, bot lane always seems to be in a certain amount of chaos. But unlike a Sonic villain, we can't seem to nail on the head the exact reason of why bot lane seems to be so suffering. No one mains bot lane, what they main is misery, and much like the movie, AD carry's ankles get broken all the time by all the mobility and power creep by other champions in this game. Riot will deny that power creep and mobility creep exist, of course, but let's look at some champions for example to see if we agree with them. Jinx released in 2013, Aphelios released this year. Clearly, there's nothing that's changed whatsoever absolutely amongst these champions. As you observe, both of these champions are AD carries, both of these champions have a lot of weapons, and both of these champions are usually holding two guns at any given time. So maybe Riot's onto something. Playing bottom lane is like playing a compounded version of League of Legends in general. A team game, but with strangers. But unlike a solo lane where maybe you have some time to yourself, you could light some candles, put on some mood music, and maybe think of 17 excuses about why your death is the jungler's fault even though they're not even in proximity, in the bottom lane, you're together from second one. If you gel, then like the spiked hair of an anime protagonist, you could be the hero of your own story. Until of course a top laner who botted your top laner 10-0 TPs down and kills you, but at least you'll die with hope in your eyes. But if you don't and you lack synergy, then from literally minute one, you guys are at each other's throats, as well as also the jungler's throat for also not ganking when once again, they weren't in proximity, they were at Rift Herald. Junglers seem to really get nothing at all actually, I kind of feel bad for them at this point. Soon I feel like people won't get autofilled to support, they'll get autofilled to jungling, because jungling feels like it's one of the worst roles to have to play in the game, even for jungler mains. Y'all are just the walking embodiments of despair at this point. One of the problems of course that hit the AD carry role was the idea of other champions coming into the bottom lane, and unlike other lanes where this is already mainly a thing, this wasn't really a thing in the AD carry role really ever. It was just AD carry specifically, not a bot lane situation. So there's a learning curve there, right? Someone that mains mid lane might like mages but also can play assassins or other things when they pop up mid. If you're someone that plays really right click auto attacking champions, you can't suddenly jump on the Ziggs bandwagon, or you can but you're probably gonna lose. And then suddenly that feeds into a secondary problem of suddenly AD carry players competing for their own role with mid laners because they heard something like Ziggs or Heimerdinger was Freelo, when in reality the issue is then, where do AD carries go? Because maybe other roles have things that can flex to other positions, but you're not going to see Jinx top lane anytime soon, or Kalista jungle, or something like that, right? Like again, in other lanes you can have multiple kinds of classes of champion viable at different times, but still maybe get away with playing something else too. If assassins are viable mid lane, maybe you can still play mages, maybe you can also play Gray Screen Simulator. And top lane, maybe you can play tanks, maybe you can play fighters, maybe you can play Luke Skywalker because you're just really farming off in nowhere's land for who knows how long until you decide you want to contribute to the game whatsoever. But in bottom lane, it really is kind of a, hey, just play something with some DPS so we can burn down Baron, we can burn down Nexus, and call it good. For the record, I'm not against variety coming down there though. I think it's kind of nice, the idea though, that maybe you can play some other classes in the bottom lane. So that way when I'm last pick AD carry and everybody else are playing AD champions across the board, I don't have to feel bad about picking an AD champion into what's already Malphite and Rammus. That's joyous. Maybe I can pick a mage after all. The AD carry problem is a complex situation that would leave apartments jealous, and I feel this way because the first Crit Chance comedy was about AD carries back in season 6, and that's why here we are in season 10 making another episode about the AD carry situation. Unfortunately, no matter who Riot tries to please, I feel like much like tiptoeing around the kitchen at night, you're gonna hit that creaky floorboard and wake somebody up and make somebody angry no matter what, so you have to figure out what's the best route moving forward. To be fair, I feel like some of my fellow AD carry mains sometimes forget that we are supposed to be a glass cannon. There is a lot of stuff that is supposed to be able to kill us pretty easily. We are supposed to be fragile. Like they complain in a way that makes me feel like they've never seen a window a day before in their life. The problem usually arises when it feels like we are too fragile. An example would be a windshield that would actually shatter when wind actually hit it. What's the point of having the windshield then whatsoever on your team, or in this case on your car? And sure, since Season 6, we've gotten AD carries like Kai'Sa and Aphelios who have definitely taken over the metas in their own times, but judging a role by its strongest champion is obviously just absurd, right? That'd be like me saying because in pro play, Gragas and Sejuani seem to be nerfed and picked all the time, obviously junglers should never complain. And we've already established in this video that junglers are a very scarred and very hurt people, and they should probably get hugged, at least at the beginning of every game, and you should probably say something nice to your jungler next time you queue up for a game. And to be fair, I'm not saying every AD carry should always be powerful ever, I'm just vouching for viability, basically. Whatever my main AD carry is, as long as I can kind of play them in any given meta, I'll honestly be fine. The same way people main champions and one-trick champions all the time in other roles as well. I'm not saying that, other things shouldn't come in the bottom lane, and as we mentioned earlier, a lot of AD carries can't really go to other lanes, so as long as, for me, what I'm saying the middle of the road is, even if things are coming down to the bottom lane, if I can still get away with playing what I want to play, I'm really not going to give Riot too much trouble on that regard. It's kind of like ordering that one favorite thing you have at your favorite restaurant or just a fast food joint in general. It might not be the #1 thing or the signature special of any kind, but as long as it's on the menu still, you're usually still content. That's kind of the way here in the analogy being that as long as your champion's still viable and whatever the meta is, you're probably at least a little bit okay versus them not being okay whatsoever to play in any role or any position or at any time, literally ever. You rolled out of bed for League of Legends. You might as well have just rolled back over and accepted the fact that you need to find better reasons to roll out of bed. But furthermore, in this analogy, it'd be like if, well, of course, if you like the French fries at McDonald's and those weren't good for some reason, McDonald's is in a little bit of trouble. Much like a game that's kind of been balanced around having DPS for much of its existence at this point would be in a little bit of trouble with a shakeup like patch 8.11, but this is more like an example of, hey, you like the French dip when you go to Arby's, and as long as it's still on the menu, you're fine going to Arby's when everybody's going to Arby's too. If it's not on the menu, there's a little bit of an issue, more so than the fact that you're going to Arby's of all places. Here's looking at you, IHOP, where I have to remind you guys every time I go there since 2017 when I called you out on Twitter that the Cinestack pancake is a thing that you guys forget to put on the menu now. It's kind of sad. Please stop doing that. So then it leaves the question to be asked, why play the bottom lane? Why would I play the bottom lane? Why would anyone play the AD carry role if it's so suffering and miserable? And the answer is rather simple actually. Much like the rest of League of Legends, it's addicting. The idea of what if we win? What if in that late game team fight we pop off with Jinx because our orb walking was actually beautiful on the minigun, we were able to take Baron and win off of that late game 5-man team fight, we got our items, our support did their job, our top laner actually remembered what TP was, our mid laner really is the Red Ranger of the team because they're leading us to victory, and our jungler actually smiled for once this week because they're in a little bit of a good mood finally. And also because I think unlike Contacts, the solution for the AD carry problem is never quite clear, but as long as Riot is willing to duo with us AD carry mains, we'll just brave the bot lane and its problems together. So, that was this episode of Crit Chance Comedy, with only a chance that it'll possibly be funny, reviving this from 2016 for the OGs that are way back there when I used to do more creative stuff. I said I'd be bringing back more creative stuff on the tail end of a Scooch's video actually, the collapse of League of Legends content as it was. That video for some reason lit a fire under me to go back to doing the creative stuff. And if this channel kind of falls because of it, at least I'll be happy with the stuff that I'm making. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll do more videos like this all the time. We'll still doing the Jinx stuff, we're still doing PvE stuff of course, but every now and then I'm going to be putting these more creative videos back into the mix like we used to do. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next, because life can have a lot of kinks. So until next time, take care. ggGetJinxed. Thank you for watching, and enjoy pizza responsibly.